Welcome to Advanced Vedic Mathematics course, Lesson 59. It is about Jeev, Tej and Dham. Jeev, Tej and Dham within Transcedental Cavity. These features, these values, these phases, and their happening within Transcendental Cavity is a transcendental bliss. It is the blissful reach of Vedic systems. The creators of space with inflow of the transcendental content through its eastern window and its manifestation, its reach up till the origin as melting of the transcendental seal is the feature. We know 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, summation value 21. It is a 6 steps reach, and these 6 steps have 5 gaps. It is this 5 gaps of 6 discrete points set up which makes a format for transcendental content, 5 space content, for its flow along the Sthapatya miring rod. This feature of flow of the transcendental content along the Sthapatya miring rod with its reach up till the 6 space gives rise to a feature which deserves to be comprehended well, imbibed well. There is a 5 space content. Its flow is sequentially taking us through the miring rod, Sthapatya miring rod, of a reach up till 6 space domain. And we know that 6 space itself is a creative order space. And this creative order of 6 space is having a transcendental origin. And this reach of the transcendental content at the origin amounts to melting of this seal. So the creators of space, which is playing the role of a creative dimension of 6 space with inflow of the transcendental content, melts the seal. It is this melting of the seal which is a big phenomenon. It is called explosion, means visfort. It is this visfort explosion. It is of TC value 29. It is equal to G14. That means it happens a remanifestation. And this remanifestation means the manifestation for the second time. Within the spatial dimension would amount to single axis and pair of axes both having sequential play. At first manifestation, there happens to be a hypercube 4. It is a summation value 14. And at the second stage, it comes to be 12, 13, 14, and 15. Now, it is this feature which has reached from A4 to A14. Here we had only 9 versions, and here we are having 29 versions. It is this phenomenon which deserves to be comprehended well. It is, in a way, we are having 9, and then if we take it minus 11, and if we take it plus 11, 20, here will be minus 13 and 31, minus 24 and 42. Like that is going to be the progression. It is this phenomenon, it is a twofold phenomenon happening. So when there is a transcendental content as hypercube 5 superimposed with a solid order, and it is a flow. It is this flow which will help us appreciate that 3 space is the dimension. And this dimension, when chased, it leads us to that here the origin is a 4 space. That means cube, a 3 space body, as hypercube 3 is having 4 space as an origin. The Vedic scriptures preserve this phase and stage of the existence phenomenon. It is in a Yog Vishisht. Yog Vishisht scripture is the scripture of a Vashisht Rishi, a guru of a Ram, and enlightenment being given preserves amongst other things in this scripture is that Brahma and Vidyadhari had their home within a Shila, means within a cube, within a solid. And this home is described as localized Brahmlok. So 4 space at the origin seat of 3 space, and then much elaboration further is also given, but we are restricting here ourselves to as that the Adi Valmiki Ramayana, the Valmiki, when had set for compiling Ramayana, Narada Rishi had given enlightened message about the Ramayana. And then Brahma himself also had re-enlightenment for the Ramayana. The Narad is a word which has 21 as the TCB, and Brahma is having 28 29. 21 is equal to 10 plus 11. It is H3 and it is small h3. See, this Purushottam Yoga, chapter 15, has a reach of 20 shlokas composition of a Purushottam Yoga as Krit Krite. One gets fully satisfied and completely obliged for the enlightenment and knowledge. This Krit is 10 and Krite is 11. If we are having this glimpse that a cube is having 4 space as its origin, and this 4 space's origin is of manifestation format of H3 and H3. It is the enlightenment of a Narad to Valmiki. And 29 is that 4 space itself is having 5 space as an origin, and 5 space as origin is H4 and small h4. It is 14 and 15. Together is 29. So in this background, when we chase the flow of the transcendental content within the transcendental cavity, here is a transcendental content which is of a solid order, and this solid order would mean that 3 space is playing the role of a dimension, and 3 space itself is having 4 space as an origin. So when this 3-dimensional frame will split here, then there will be a creation of a 4 space. And as a sequence ahead, when the 4 space dimension will split, it will lead to here at the split. So 4 space, a 4-dimensional frame, this split will lead us to emergence of a 5 space here. It is going to be H4 and small h4. It is going to be 29. It is this manifestation of remanifestation phase which will help us appreciate that within a 4 space, 5 space as an origin, and when this 5 space transcends out, then 4 space splits into a pair of 4 spaces, and step ahead, 6 space as an origin. When we will split out, it will lead to pair of 5 spaces. See this value, it is 5, 6 and 5. It is making 16. It is a Jeev. One shall sit comfortably and permit the transcending mind to be parallel with this happening within the transcendental cavity. Now 5 space itself, when splits, that means when its origin 6 space splits out, then there is a split for 5 space and it becomes a pair of 5 spaces. These in fact come to be the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere. It is this split phenomenon which gives us 5 plus 6 plus 5 is equal to 16. However, 6 space itself is having 4 space as a dimension, and so the transcendence here again will be of a 5 space. It is a third phase, and there comes to be triple five, the beginning, middle, and end, and it makes value 15. This is Tej. So Jeev, and then is going to be Tej. And once it happens that way, that means we are reaching at the happening. The happening is going to be as that we had a split for 5 space. It had transcended out 6 space as an origin, and this transcendence happening makes 5 plus 6 plus 5 is equal to 16 is the Jeev. And Jeev is Ansh. It is the Surya, Tej, Ansh. This Ansh 13 is 4 plus 5 plus 4. That means it is the previous stage where 4 space itself has a split because of a 5 space. So 4, 5, and 4. Now there is happening of phenomenon of a Jeev as a Surya Ansh. And also we know that 1 to 16 numbers lead to 1 to 29 factors. This is Brahma. And 29 is 16 plus 13. It is Ansh. It is Chit. Now, this happening is there. And step ahead, when the creative dimensional order here of 6 space itself leads to emergence of a 5 space, it happens value 15, which is a Tej. Ahead, when we are having a Tej, and there has been here a split for 4 space as a dimension, and 4 space we know is having 2 as a 1 a unit, a full units like hypercube 5, and so on, and 1 as 2, that is a half unit, H4, H5, and so on. Therefore, there happens to be a split here again for the middle, and it happens to be as northern hemisphere and a southern hemisphere. It is this split which, when takes us to, it becomes the Dham. It is going to be the enlightenment, as that all those who are anxious, desirous, and who want to meditate and who want to be parallel with the Vedic systems, they have to sit comfortably and they have to see how the transcendental phenomenon is happening within the transcendental cavity. So, first we have to reach at the way the transcendental cavity stands created. It means creation is going to begin with the 4 space itself, with the happening of inflow of a transcendental content from a sun. It is the first phase and stage. This is the emergence of a transcendental cavity here. This happening, and then At the second stage, there happens as that the transcendental content flow within the cavity is of a five space of a solid order. This happening of five space as a order would mean that there will happen that the origin of five space is going to have a transcendence out, and so the five space domain splits into two parts, and this amounts to happening a value 16, which means a Jeev. After this, after the third stage, the fourth stage happens when there is going to be again a split for the creative dimensional order and emergence of a five space here. So this is the phase and stage when beginning, middle, and end, all three phases and stages as of the transcendental content itself. Once this phase and stage of transcendental content is there, that means the value 15 is there. This becomes the Tej. And once the Tej is there, once this phase and stage is there, then the solid order here is again giving rise to a four space as a base. It is this availability at the fifth phase and stage makes the value 19. This is the Dham. Now let us sit comfortably and let us revisit as to this Dham. Dham means the home, the living abode of the Lord, which is the enlightenment. The happening of a Jeev as 5, 6, and 5. The happening of a Tej as 5, 5, and 5. And happening of a Dham as 5, 5, 5 with 4 as a spot. Now, these happenings, as these are to be visited afresh to have the complete chase. We begin with four space, this space, and then we reach at the cosmic window. So we begin with four space, we reach at the cosmic window. Here we see the inflow of the transcendental content. This transcendental flow is from seven streams or seven spectrums or rainbow or seven colors or chariot of a sun driven by seven horses. And once we are here, and then its flow is going to be from this origin. This takes us to the stage when we are having an entry and manifestation and the melting of the transcendental seal. This seal is melted, and it happens as that it has a manifestation of a transcendental cavity of 10 components. And this cavity within creative boundary amounts to the superimposition of solid order upon the spatial order. This superimposition, and as a result, there is a flow of a transcendental content, solid body with that transcendental body with solid order. And this once happens, then it leads to the split and the transcendence of the sixth space as its origin. At next step, there happens that the creative dimensional order leads to the transcendental order. With this happening, step ahead, there happens a force space inflow from the solid order itself. These features, all as these are happening within the creative boundary format of the transcendental cavity. This format of a creative boundary, and within it happening 565, 555, 555, and a 4. These things are happening within it. And this that way takes us to 8 directional frame at the top to begin with, and similar 8 directional frame manifests at the bottom, and in between also happens manifestation of a 8 directional frame which goes in a dynamic state. This phenomenon of a 8 directional frame as such leads us to as that the true space surface is having two faces, and these two faces, when split out, then these create a space which becomes a solid space. And it is this solid space which permits a split for the cube as a synthetic setup of as many as 8 subcubes. It is this reach of 8 subcubes whose innermost corner points of all the 8 superimposed have a common seat at the origin. It makes H4. And it is this format which goes parallel with G4 and a 9. Further, it goes parallel with 1 space, 3 space, and 5 space for the 5 space dimensional order. And ahead, it takes us to a 6 space which is of a creative order, and this creative order, dimensional order, as well as permits a split, and there happens a transcendence out of a 5 space. This way, the scriptures further preserve as that when it was to be seen as to Lord Brahma, forehead Lord, is the creator, the supreme, or the Lord Vishnu is creator, the supreme, then a fire pillar had emerged, and both of them were asked, and go and see the inner setup of this transcendental pillar, and both of them have ultimately reached back with their complete ignorance about it. It is this ignorance of Brahma as well as of the Vishnu about the Lord Shiv, 5 space, which as such is the enlightenment. And it is this enlightenment which is being availed as the sthapatya of Vishnu Yoga, of Purushottam, and it is this format which takes us to as to how the existence is happening within the transcendental cavity. For it, Gita chapter 15 is taking us to Ashwath, a tree with its roots upwards and stamped down, then to the phenomenon of a Jeev within body as a Tej of our solar universe, and ultimately the Dham of the Lord Himself. These values together make it 71, and 71 makes a reflection pair with 70. These together make 88. It is 44 plus 44, and it is a paramvijom, a transcendental space. So paramvijom is interacting with itself, and it is this self-interaction of the paramvijom which is the enlightenment, and this that way it takes us to northern hemisphere. The value is of Atma as soul, and 71 as it takes us to a sphere. So starting with the cube, Tirloki, reaching up till the Brahmand. This is the value. These are the features which are to be chased as happening within the transcendental cavity. And by this chase sequentially, 1 to 6 shlokas will help, 7 to 11, 12 to 15, and 16 to 20. We have to be through the texts, and we have to chase the words, syllables, letters, and the transcendental code values. And then we have to reach at their sthapatya. Thank you very much.